Good evening and welcome to Legal Tech Live episode 36. Today we're with Bryan. I'm Nick Rishwain here with my co-host Ivan Rakelin. Tonight we're
36. Yeah, we're pushing forward, baby.
pushing forward, back on track here. And tonight we're with Bryan Marble, who's the CEO and founder of ClientSherpa. ClientSherpa is friendly, automated client intake for attorneys. From first contact through consultation and signed fee agreement, ClientSherpa keeps your clients moving through a friendly process that gives you the best possible opportunity to sign them as a client. Bryan, welcome. Thank you for coming on.
ClientSherpa.
And brought to you by
Founder,
ClientSherpa.
CEO, battle rapper extraordinaire.
Yeah.
Bryan Marble.
Thanks for having me.
Except for the
Bryan.
battle rap.
Well, we can maybe do that in the last 5 minutes. That would be our deep dive for the show. It would be a battle rap.
I would not be diving very deep on that.
Bryan, tell us about ClientSherpa, how you came to be, your background, and you guys have been around for about a year. I think we were told in Twitter DMs where we usually touch base with folks. And so give us a little background, your background and the background of ClientSherpa.
Sure, yeah. So I don't know how far you want to go back, but probably at least with respect to legal tech. In 2014, my wife, Katie, she's an employment attorney. She decided to go solo. She ended up just getting inundated with phone calls and folks that just trying to sell her all sorts of garbage technology, I would say.
Mhm.
And I'm a software developer by trade. I was one of the early developers at HubSpot. And so I thought,
Nice.
I can build something easier for her that she can actually use and implement. And so I ended up building a CMS called AmazeLaw. And that I ran that for 2.5 years, interviewing all of my customers and trying to figure out what types of problems were they having that I could solve. And folks kept coming back to, well, I want people to be able to contact me on the website and then fill out forms. If I'm an immigration attorney, being able to say, start a visa application right from the website. That was a common request. And so after I interviewed a bunch of customers, I realized, this isn't really part of the marketing product. This is the whole separate thing. And so that's kind of where the genesis of ClientSherpa started.
Excellent. So you're not a CRM, correct? It's not. This is strictly on the intake side.
Yeah. So I'd like to say we're intake and CRM for folks that don't know or care what a CRM is. So we take the information from the client, allow them to upload all of the information that they need. And then we have automations built into the software that will move them through the process, remind them to fill out their forms, remind them about the consultation, remind them to sign a fee agreement if you get to that point, and then pump all of that data into your case management suite, whether that's Clio, Practice Panther, et cetera.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically being able to do all of that without needing to manually set up a whole bunch of automations, looking into Zapier and all these other tools that you could connect, but just take too much time for most folks.
Okay. So it's an automated onboarding system, essentially.
Yep, exactly.
Excellent. Ivan, you there?
Yeah, so I'm here. I wanted to ask you on that note. So is the main focus on immigration law, or does it span different scenarios, if you will, for legal services?
Yeah, all sorts of scenarios. So we have form templates for family law, immigration, estate planning. Typically, it's transactional work that tends to be a better fit. Litigation, not so much. But yeah,
on the transaction side, one of the first questions is a jurisdictional question.
What's that?
One of the first questions that you ask probably is a jurisdictional question, and then based on that, you input the laws that are relevant to that jurisdiction. Obviously,
well, no,
immigration is federal, but do you focus on transactions at the state level?
No, so we don't really ours isn't set up so that you sign into ClientSherpa and we're specific to your jurisdiction. It's basically we give you sensible defaults for various matter types, and then you can go in and tweak it for your very specific needs. You can add things, remove things as needed to kind of match your firm. If you have forms you already use, we'll build them out within ClientSherpa for you, so it's not even extra work.
Nice. And what is your, so you mentioned that you guys, you're actually operational. It's beyond minimally viable product at this point, correct? You're operational and you're integrated with a couple of major players in the case in the practice management sphere.
Yep. So we launched in Clio and Practice Panther. We connect to all the major calendars. We'll be launching a LawPay integration within a few weeks here, and then we'll have a couple more coming down the road too.
Nice. So, Clio customer, Practice Panther customer who wants to use your onboarding, they do the onboarding into their practice management, and then then also through you, they're doing their doing the receiving payments and that type of thing from the client.
Right. So we handle everything up until they become the client, like until they sign a fee agreement.
Okay.
So things like paying for a consultation, where that's something where we would handle that payment, but invoicing afterwards, that would be outside of our purview. So there's automatic scheduling, so sort of like a Calendly type feature.
Gotcha.
So every matter type has its own landing page where your clients can go book a consultation on your calendar, pay for it. That'll be in a couple weeks, and then start the process that way.
Nice. What are your right now? I guess who do you notice? What practice area do you notice is the quickest to adopt your particular product or software as a service?
Sure. I expected it to be more, honestly, estate planning was my thought, but it's really been across the board. We haven't really noticed a trend among any one particular practice area. There's a lot of folks that are handling multiple disparate practice areas also. So like folks that have, a family law and estate planning and, basic immigration stuff.
Nice. So there's no spike under employment law or more personal injury or anything like that you've noticed?
No, not yet. And that'll be interesting to see going forward too, because, a personal injury attorney, the frequency of their matters is much higher than, say, like an IP attorney that might get 1 or 2 cases a month. A PI attorney could get dozens, and that changes the pricing a lot with ClientSherpa, because we do have a kind of a usage-based pricing model where it's $29 an attorney and then $5 per intake. So it scales up or down depending on the type of firm you are.
Oh, okay. Pricing, Ivan, sounds like your area.
Yeah, so I'm actually looking at the website with the pricing model. There's really only one, right? It's you got a 14-day trial, and then that 29 per attorney, 5 intake. So I guess if you can just kind of talk us through the use case from start to finish on onboarding for your primary use case for this particular product, software as a service.
So how they onboard with me, or how clients onboard with my customers?
How your clients would onboard to become to use your product.
Sure. Yeah. So they sign up right there on the website. The first thing they'll be asked for is basic firm information, like the name of the firm. Then they'll pick their first matter type. So I mentioned we have a bunch of templates in there they can choose from that will pre-populate in their account. And if they don't have if none of them match what they want, they can generate one from scratch. And then from there, it's just a matter of, all they have to do is connect their case management software, connect their calendar, which takes like 3 seconds. And at that point, they already have a URL they could send clients to. It just works.
Oh. Would you say this is essentially from solo practitioner to, what's your largest client in terms of number of attorneys with that office?
I would say our sweet spot is in like the 3 to 4 attorney range.
Okay.
Anything more than that, it's something that we'll start to look into, but it changes a lot of the UI. Starting to manage things like departments and what assistants deal with which attorneys. So there's a whole bunch of complexity there that we're not ready to tackle, but typically 3 to 5 attorneys is really our sweet spot.
And are each one of those attorneys paying users in that case? You know, if you have 3 to 4, are they all paying users? Do they just need one in the firm who's a paying user? How does that? What's the? Obviously, you prefer that they're all paying users, but is it a necessity for a firm that size?
Yeah. So each user has their own calendar. Each user has their own matter types, can be assigned different matter types. And so they're the paying users. We have any like support staff or assistants, they're all free accounts. So they can start intakes and generate them for the attorneys. That's all free.
So this should essentially take off some of the paperwork and some of the headache from the support staff. Is that the goal, or even for the small and solo practitioners to even potentially eliminate a support staff position that may not be necessary?
Right. Or give them an opportunity to do work that's, you know, more productive for them, instead of spending, you know, half the day emailing back and forth trying to coordinate a consultation time, or badgering people because, you know, we need this information before we have the consultation. All of that is just baked in, and we take care of it for them essentially.
Excellent.
Got it. I get it. So I got to ask my questions. My normal questions are essentially, you started a year ago. Is it just you?
Yep. Well, myself, my wife helps out as well. She's like the inspiration in terms of helping me figure out, you know, how to build this.
The problem. You're addressing the problem that she has, which obviously can scale out to every other solo or small firm, correct?
Right, exactly. It's nice to have user feedback every day.
Yeah, right there in the same household.
Yep.
You can't beat that. Right. So you basically build it yourself. You said you were at HubSpot before. So
Yep.
obviously this is a pretty simple product that you've been able to put together. And in terms of your scaling strategy, I noticed, I did a quick search on Google. Is it totally word of mouth at this point?
Yep.
And what's your plan for scaling?
So there's a lot of different avenues that we're kind of approaching at this point. One is integration marketing. So working with providers like Clio, Practice Panther, LawPay, even some of the receptionists, like virtual receptionists, where they're kind of the front end to the intake. Like they'd be passing it to us, we'd be passing it to Clio. So there's a lot of potential opportunities for co-marketing there.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, I won't go into any secret sauce, but we do have some plans for some more scalable content generation. Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough.
And that's going to be coming in the next weeks or months?
Which side? All of it is working all the time. So we're just trying to get it moving forward. So we're just trying to grow as sustainably as we can. I would say. I won't say as fast as we can.
Right. Because I mean, at this point, you've been focusing on the product. Now it seems to be in a position where it's sellable. Mm-hmm. Nick mentioned the MVP, and now you're just wanting to reach out and focus on, because you already have the product market fit. Looks like you have enough customers.
I think so. I think we're getting there. I would say there's a lot of. So we only launched to customers in the last 3 months. So it's been a lot of our work in the past 3 months has been refining the processes to make them more easier to use, iron out those little edges where folks get confused, or maybe we made some incorrect assumptions. But yeah, I think we're starting to hit that point where folks can walk into the app, understand what's going on, and then get started with it without manual intervention on my end.
And you're going to continue, are you going to continue to do this solo, or are you going to start bringing folks on board as you onboard more customers?
The plan is to keep this solo as long as possible. It was kind of built from the ground up to be a solo business, both from planning out what the scope of the product was, to the infrastructure of the product, a lot of it has been intentionally designed to be as people efficient as possible.
So you're going to do a Kevin Systrom on us here?
We'll see.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Instagram CEO.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a $1 billion acquisition in my future, but you never know.
But you're doing that
space, obviously.
The sort of the fun thing, I've had some experience at this level, or a little bit smaller than, well, I guess at your level. I mean, your customer relations, your sales, your everything right now, correct?
Yep, development.
Yeah. Development, everything.
It's a true example of a startup, right?
It's the true startup.
Most basic form. Lean startup methodology, 10x.
Yeah, there's no like communication loops. It's just all in my head. So
yeah, but it does look like at least you're not doing it out of the garage, which is nice. I'm seeing a functioning office there.
Yep,
that's awesome. So, can you tell us? And again, if this is proprietary, we'll move on. But can you tell us how many like monthly anything on monthly active users or even subscribers at this point? Is that anything you're willing to share?
Sure. I'll say we're sub 100 in the last 3 months.
Okay.
In terms of active users, I will say it's growing pretty steadily, and we're seeing the numbers we want to see. So, cautiously optimistic going forward.
So there is some revenue coming at this point, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Excellent.
That's about $2,000. I get it.
Yeah, it pays the server costs at this point. So
yeah, no, that's good. I mean, but there's cash flow, which is nice.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, there was no run out and spend and burn somebody else's money on this one.
Right. Yeah,
100% owner. Obviously, you put your own money in it. No, there's not much to put in. It's just all right here and then right there.
Yeah, there is
for those that are listening, I'm pointing into my head and I'm pointing to my fingers.
There's sweat equity, but there's also, like I mentioned, like I sold the previous app, so that's kind of rolling into this one. So I would say it's self-funded. Approach.
Okay.
Excellent. Yeah.
So go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. Let me just ask one quick. Your wife is one of the active users, right?
No, actually. So she is no longer in solo practice. She works for a very large law firm. So she provides the feedback, but no, she's not an active user.
Okay. All right. Did you get the initial friends and family testing it out, and did you maybe her associates who were in small practices, and have you converted them to some to regular users now?
Yeah, a couple of them, and a couple of my previous clients from folks that I've known over the years. A lot of the new users that are coming through the Clio marketplace, which is a nice steady stream. Nothing overwhelming, but it's enough to keep it going.
Good. And just one follow up to that, Ivan, before you jump back in. Do you see any potential build outs beyond the legal vertical with this application?
Not in my future.
Okay.
So I mentioned kind of intentionally building out this business. My goal was always to have a relatively fixed scope with the ability to, let's say you get 5-10 years down the road and someone else is coming in to look at the business. You want to have opportunity for either moving horizontally through other verticals or going maybe deeper into the practice management space. That's not something that I plan to do, but those are opportunities. But for the foreseeable future, it'll be strictly legal and intake, and trying to stay totally focused on that. There's a lot of problems to fix there.
Yeah, and when you grow, take on too many things, then your secret sauce sometimes seems to get diluted. Fair enough. Ivan, what's up?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of discussed that you didn't want to go into the secret sauce, but as far as the marketing piece, to start scaling? Because it looks like once you got a really good product, it's going to be simple to get it out to a large amount of folks. I mean, it's going to be traditional, right? You're going to Facebook ads, targeted Facebook ads, right?
Yeah, that's part of the strategy. In terms of paid,
Because not too many lawyers, I don't think, are on Instagram still. Even though 2018 is the year of Instagram, maybe you could do something there.
yeah, apparently. I'm just on the old edge of millennial, so I don't really even I know of Instagram. I have an Instagram account. ClientSherpa has an Instagram account, but I'm clueless when it comes to that. But
So yeah, I'm thinking like Facebook and LinkedIn is probably a really good one as well.
Yeah,
Because you're going to be able to tap into
I've
a
had
particular customer base.
I have never had good results on LinkedIn ads. This both in this business and going back to my previous business, they just never panned out. And I've used various consultants to try it. One place that I've seen work is Reddit, actually, which is kind of interesting.
interesting.
But yeah, like LinkedIn ads have never worked for my business. Now, that was in a really competitive space where it was like attorney marketing, where like Google AdWords was just going to be like not even approachable for anyone that doesn't have $1 million in the bank.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll second that. In my experience in my day job, LinkedIn ads is not a refined, not a very refined advertising platform. Nowhere near the success rate that we have through Facebook.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I guess what I meant with LinkedIn, I mean, Facebook ads and then LinkedIn engagement, and essentially identify through the search mechanism, you can literally identify and then do the DM and do the.
Oh yeah, like the more kind of like automated, like I've seen folks pitching like this idea of automated view the profile, and then like 2 days later it automatically goes in and like sends a connection request, and then there's even some cold outreach stuff through LinkedIn. I haven't really.
I get it all day long, every day.
Yeah,
I get pitched every day. I'm pretty active. I'm aggressive on LinkedIn myself, so.
But I also I get some of those as well. And I got to tell you that I don't think I've really actually had one, what are they called? In-mails that have even been remotely accurate to what to what I do. So, I Facebook ads, bang for your buck, I think is fantastic over there. What is is there a target region or that you're looking at for expansion? You guys are in the Northeast. Are you thinking regional, or does it even matter? You're entirely cloud based. They don't have to download any software, correct? They don't have to download ClientSherpa app or anything like that.
Yeah, no, it's been no regions. We're even getting folks out of the EU coming and asking for things like internationalization, which isn't something we're ready to handle just yet. But nice to know that there is a market there that's interested.
Very cool. Did you guys participate? Were you one of the firms who participated in the demo at Clio?
The launch code?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we were one of the 5 finalists. So yeah, it was that was definitely helpful, and
nice.
It was a great experience. Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Yeah, it was. I was watching what I could from a distance. I did, Ivan. So in case you want to do it, I did purchase my ticket for next year's, which is in San Diego. So it may be time. It's been several years now, Ivan. It might be time for us to meet up again. So keep it in mind.
Actually, yeah. When was the last time we saw each other face to face? That's for another episode.
2016. Anyway, so
no, Bryan, you pretty much explained it. It's very easy to understand the product.
Yeah. We got a lot of feedback, especially at the conference, just being able to talk to so many people who hadn't heard of us and who didn't come into us with any sort of knowledge of the product. How quickly we got to that kind of aha, like yes kind of moment, which was kind of gratifying. After building for so long, you really hope you're not building something that no one will care about. So it's nice.
Right. You hear a lot of these like cloud-based AI, you know, grass-fed, organic, all these buzzwords, right?
Yeah, I could rant on the whole AI machine learning and whether it's a useful marketing term for at least the solo small firm market.
I think it is a useful marketing term. My experience thus far, and I love this stuff, right? I mean, I think it's amazing. I want to know more about it. I want to see it demoed. But I have to say, where I've seen it be a successful marketing term is when you're looking for huge funding from somebody.
Yep.
They want to know that they want to know that you've got an AI based. It's a buzzword that the investors really they chew on, and I'm not sure if I could tell you after some of the ones that I've seen presented if there truly is any AI or machine learning or natural language processing taking place in the application that was presented, but it's certainly pitched that way.
Yeah, and honestly, like the natural language processing stuff, I mean, that you just hook into Google for that. The AI, for the most part, is at least in when it's being pitched by an early stage company, unless you have somebody on staff that's like a researcher,
right?
Like you're basically talking about a lot of nested if statements of just like if this, then send them this message, and it's not very smart, I don't think.
Right, and there's some who are using your case text and Ross intelligence. I think they have fairly sophisticated, but they were early and they've got some major investment dollars behind, as I understand. But I've seen a lot of startups claiming the AI thing, and I'm not a coder. I'm not a software developer. But I just don't know that I'm feeling a lot like it's a buzzword that's used to try and garner some investment dollars.
Mm-hmm. So real quick, Brian, you mentioned the if then statements, and then earlier on in the interview, you mentioned Zapier.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of integrations, or do you have any with your current product? Or if you don't, do you have any plans?
Yeah, so we integrate directly right now with Clio, Practice Panther, all of the cloud calendaring systems.
Zapier has those?
Well, I'm sure Zapier can connect to those, but we don't have a Zapier. We don't have a Zapier integration, if that's what you're asking.
What are those called? Zaps?
Zaps.
Yeah,
they're called. Yeah. Because I've been using if this then that more than I have Zapier. I need to probably look at it. It sounds like it's a little bit more robust than
three. But I think what you're saying, Brian, is that because a lot of solos are told to go to Zapier to get some integration. You're saying you don't need that. You don't need to do Zapier. This integrates right with your practice management software.
Right, exactly.
Oh, so okay.
What you would normally be pitching somebody like, okay, go sign up for Calendly, then use a Zap to get that into Typeform, and then collect data, and then get that into HelloSign, and it's on and on and on, and you can do some pretty amazing things. But one, it's difficult to set up. You're signing up for 4 or 5 different services, so you're talking hundreds of dollars a month in fees. And then after all of that, you have clients that are interacting with 4 or 5 different websites before they even talk to you, and that's kind of a jarring experience too. So
yeah, it's the barrier to entry is too high at that point.
Yeah. And talk about, and that's brand dilution for that lawyer too, right? You want to make the onboarding process easy. The more complicated it is, more likely this person's just going to time out.
Right. Exactly. Like if you have to go between 3 or 4 different applications, at some point you're going to hit an edge case where, the person didn't reschedule correctly. And so now it's actually the person talking on the phone with them. And now you have 5 different things they're talking to. I saw it. So a lot of this was based off of my experience onboarding customers into my last business. It was I had a very similar approach where I would have somebody fill out a form, schedule a demo, and all of this stuff was run through Zapier, and it changed my business. Like it made it doable. But at the same time, it was very fragile. So things would break all the time. You would be constantly trying to figure out those little edge cases. And so this is basically trying to do that and standardize it and make sure that everyone has access to it. Everyone can approach automation and not feel like it's too much for them.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. ClientSherpa is our guest tonight for Legal Tech Live, episode 36. Ivan, any final thoughts for you? Any last minute questions for Bryan?
I think we covered everything. I will end with I guess my last one would be, Bryan, did we cover anything that you want to discuss?
I don't think so. I think, intake automation is kind of up and coming still. I think there were a number of providers, and the reason I started this was probably because most of the providers at the time hadn't been upgraded in years. And, there are a couple in the space like Lexicata just getting acquired by Clio. They're starting to see some attention paid to not only like managing your caseload, but managing the client experience. And I think it's great that we're focusing in that direction.
And I think there's probably one thing, Bryan, that I forgot to ask is ClientSherpa mobile friendly?
Oh yeah, yep. Everything is mobile friendly. Yeah. Especially on the client side. You can't expect somebody to be filling out their form on a desktop.
Yeah. Okay, good. So Bryan, where do people get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you or they want to learn more about ClientSherpa? Give us a few places, points of contact.
Sure. ClientSherpa is just clientsherpa.com. We're ClientSherpa on Twitter. I think we're ClientSherpa on Instagram too. But I'm not sure I would see it.
Let's take a look.
Fair enough. And is there an info at ClientSherpa or an email that you'd like to give?
Yeah, sure. You can reach directly out to me, Bryan, Bryan at clientsherpa.com, or help@clientsherpa.com. Those will both go to me. Yep.
All right, excellent. And where did you get that? I'm seeing you're wearing a Patagonia hat. How did you get the name ClientSherpa?
Honestly, so I was coming back from a conference where I had kind of validated the idea, and I was going through all of the potential domain names, and that was one of the ones that came up and kind of invoked that idea of like helping somebody on a journey. So I went with it.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
That was a good tie-in, Nick.
Yeah. I saw the hat. I was like, well, is he a mountaineer? How's this all work? So I just wanted to see how.
I go down mountains, not so much up them.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, once again, this is Legal Tech Live, episode 36. I'm your host, Nick Rishwain, with my co-host,
Ivan Raiklin.
And our guest tonight was Bryan Marble, CEO and founder of ClientSherpa. We thank you all for watching and listening, for those who listen, and we will see you on episode 37. Thanks again. Thanks, Bryan.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.